Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. Do you realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world? Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain clubrooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
Okay, this is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania with our DATV Experimenters Night. And good evening from Justin, VK7TW at the desk. Now we've actually, this is the first one for a little while. We've had presentation nights and forum nights and all sorts of things. So we have a little presentation tonight, a whole range of things. Hopefully some of the things will be of interest to our viewers. Please, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Let us know where you're coming in from, and if you want to know more about something, please let us know. So I wish to acknowledge Tasmanian Aboriginal people as the traditional owners of the land upon which we're presenting tonight. And I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, the knowledge, the culture and hopes of Aboriginal Tasmania. So now, please, hello Sean, hello Darren. Now Darren has let me know he's coming in from Mount Isa, so and Ross VKK from the Royal Hobart Hospital. I hope, Ross, that's not too serious, and the reason you're in the Royal Hobart, and Sean up in New Norfolk. So good evening. Now the very first the bit of news which people probably heard on the broadcast, the VK7 Amateur Radio News broadcast, is we have our first mountain goat. So Summits on the Air mountain goat. In VK7, and so huge congratulations to Stuart VK7FADZ, or FADZ, sorry, FADZ, I keep getting that wrong, FADZ. Now Stuart and a group of people were on the Overland Track over the last week or so, and I had a bit of a look at the records that Stuart put into the SOTA website, SOTA data. If you put in SOTA data, one word, into your Google search engine, you'll be able to see the records, the SOTA records. But Stuart basically did a whole lot of the summits along the Overland Track. Now, for those who are not in Tasmania, the Overland Track is a fairly iconic bushwalking track. I think it's about 60 65 kilometres, 65 or 70 kilometres long. It starts at Cradle Mountain, and you work your way through the centre of Tasmania, and you come out at Lake St Clair, at the end of Lake St Clair. So absolutely fantastic, and there are a number of summits that are available to you as you go through. So Stuart and the group that he was with started off on the 8th of July at Mount Emmett, and I think that might have been a first activation. Then on the 9th of July, the next day was Mount Inglis. On the next day it was Mount Oakleigh. On the next day, and in fact on the 11th, there were two summits that Stuart did, which was Mount Pelion East, and I think from his comments the group did Mount Pelion East together. They all did the summit, and then to get Stuart his over 1,000 points, and he's at 1,009 right at the moment. To get him over his 1,000 points, so get him his mountain goat, he actually activated VK7CH001, which is Mount Ossa. Now, Mount Ossa is the highest mountain in Tasmania at 1,619 metres. And I've got, let me just move over to here and zoom out a bit. And if I there we go. Now, this picture, I love this picture because it is, there we go. This is Stuart, I think, on Mount Ossa or on one of those summits, and he is sitting with the radio between his legs, sitting on the snow in blizzard conditions. In almost blizzard conditions. You can see his antenna pole, and this is him operating on one of those wonderful summits. Now there is Stuart. He took a selfie, which I love. Very good. Oh no, let's come back a little bit bright there. But and there's someone in the in the back here waving. So a huge congratulations to Stuart for his becoming the first mountain goat in Tasmania, VK7. So absolutely fantastic, and there's some pretty spectacular pictures that he posted on our Reast Discord channel. So if you and Sean's and Darren, congratulations, Stuart. We've got Ross, it's day 11 in the Royal Hobart Hospital. I'm sorry to hear that, and I hope things are improving. But yeah, congratulations, Stuart, and 1,619 metres. That's getting me into the nosebleed country. Well, can I just say, my sister is currently in the Andes, and she posted a picture the other day which had a sign behind her that said 3,000 metres. So she's 3 kilometres up in the air in the Andes. So yeah, off the show, absolutely off the show. But 1,619 metres, and that was the last summit to get Stuart his Mountain Goat Award. So congratulations, huge congratulations, Stuart. He did that, and one of the key things here is Stuart has actually only been doing SOTA since June 2020. So it's relatively short period of time. We're talking 4 years, less than 4 years, or 4 years, almost 4 years exactly. He did it with 106 summits, total of 1,009 points. 925 of them were actually summit points, and 84 of them were bonus winter points. So that just increases the difficulty factor. So 84 of those were bonus winter points. Each summit that is over 1,000 metres has a winter bonus between March and October, I think it is. March and October, I think, from memory. I should know this as association manager, but between March and October, there is 3 extra points that you can get on summits over 1,000 metres. To take into account the fact that most summits over 1,000 metres in between those periods certainly have snow and ice on them, and degree of difficulty goes up significantly. So Stuart's average for those summits was 9.52. Now that is the highest apart from Ben VK7BEN, who has only done 2 summits and both of them were 10 pointers. And so his average is 10, but statistics, damn lies and statistics, I think is a good comment there. But Stuart's average over those 106 summits was 9.52. So a lot of those summits, in fact most of those summits, were 10 pointers. So absolutely fantastic. So congratulations to Stuart. Now we'll get into a bit of home brew. People have heard me banging on about the whole thing of I was successful in getting a Kenwood MAT-100 antenna tuning unit. Now this particular unit comes from it's marketed as a unit that is sold with a marine HF transceiver. And so you'll find these tuners on boats, and they tune, backstay antennas and all sorts of the antennas you find on yachts and boats and all sorts of things. So I was successful in getting this through an auction, and I thought, fantastic, that's what I want. So I then went through the process of working out how they work, and of course how they and this is the instructions. After a little bit of playing around with it, and I'll show you it in a moment. Let's zoom out here. What I was able to find out to tune these particular devices is there are 2 lines, which is the TS and the TT line. The TS, I think, is the reset line for the relays that control the inductors and capacitors, and then the TT line is the tune line. So it will go into a tune sequence and try and minimize the SWR with the combination of inductors and capacitors. So this is what I was able to discern in playing with it manually and activating these TS and TT lines. The TS line goes low, and what that does is reset everything, and I'll show you what that looks like in the tuner. And then a little while later, a short period of time later, you then put it into a tune mode, and you need the TS line low as well. So when these two are low and you apply a minimum of 10 watts to the tuner, it will tune. It will actually find the lowest SWR for the frequency that you're actually you're putting through it with the RF. So bearing this in mind, I came up with, and I'll admit here, I absolutely love 555 timers. I grew up in a period of electronics in the 1980s, which was where everything was done. If you couldn't do it with a 555 timer, it wasn't worth doing. So anyway, dig out the 555 cookbook and come up with a monostable oscillator, which is the configuration that the 555 is in this. You can see there's a push button here, and I'll show you what this looks like physically. The signal comes out as a TS, so just below here it's got the timing. So TS goes low when you push the button. That starts the timer in the 555 timer, which is a combination of this resistor, and this capacitor. And so what you start that process, that timer going, about 0.1 of a second with the combination of the 100k and the 1 microfarad capacitor. About 0.1 of a second later, TT goes low, which is the output of the 555. So TS goes low with the push button, that starts the timer, and then TT goes low. Then you apply the RF and you release the button, and it auto-magically locks and latches on that particular tuning. So, okay, worked all that out, fantastic. Came up with a little physically. I'll see whether I can show you this. This might be a bit of a challenge. Physically, what that little 555 timer looks like is you've got a 555 timer. It's this little 8-pin dual inline thing here. There's some connectors. There's some glue in here. There's the capacitors and the resistors in here. There's a regulator over here which takes the 13.5 volts and puts it down to 5 volts because the signals that the ATU use are 5 volts. And so I build most of my things into 1RU rack mount cases, and this particular one, if you turn it round, has a whole bunch of holes which used to be a ABC, I think I can say that, used to be a video switching matrix for our national broadcaster, which they didn't want anymore. I've taken all of those 75 ohm B and C's off, and mounted everything in the box. There's not much in the box, lots of air. So you've got your control surface, you've got a push button switch just here which initiates the tuning sequence, and what you've also got here and here, and I'll put these under the microscope. So what you've got is, go wide, not push the camera off the table. This is the Adelaide Hills Amateur Radio Society Power SWR meter, and this is the Stockton bridge. So this is the SWR bridge. This is capable of 250 watts. This is the 250 watt version of this. So there are two. Sorry, I'm jumping around here. Two connectors. One is the antenna. One is the transmitter. And then you've got an LCD screen in here which tells you the SWR and the forward power and the reverse power on the little LCD here. So this tells you the tuning, and this initiates the tuning. So what this basically does, and the connection to the ATU is a little DB9 on the back here, and goes off to a multi-core shielded cable. So this makes the Kenwood MAT-100 a transceiver independent tuning unit, and that's the key. I wanted it to be a transceiver independent tuning unit, so it can be any transceiver so long as you can put out about 10 watts minimum to get it to initiate. You push the button, you put a carrier out of 10 watts or more, and you watch the SWR come down to an acceptable level, and then you release the button, and it remembers that particular tuning. Now, to show you what's going on inside the antenna tuning unit, what I've got is some video of, there is a little indicator board inside the antenna tuning unit that shows you, and I'll go backwards here. When you push the TS button, what it does is reset all of those LEDs back to here. So half of these LEDs are the capacitors inside the unit, and half of them are the inductors inside the unit. And so when you go into a tune sequence, it goes back to a reset, and then it goes through and sequences the capacitors and the tuning and the inductors, and then Once it's done it once, and you put that frequency back into the antenna tuning unit, it automatically goes back to it, which is what you see just here. This is, as soon as I tune, it goes straight back to what it used to be. So it knows for that particular frequency this is the best SWR. There's a few little sequences I've got here. You can see it's tuning and it can't actually find a match. And so it goes through this little zigzag sequence. And you can see, can't find a match. So it just goes through and goes, nah, can't do that. Here's another tuning sequence. It's reset and then it goes through a tuning. Bang, bang. So the capacitors, the inductors, finds the combination. And then this little LED here comes on and it says it's tuned. Here's another one. You reset it, so that's the TS signal, and it knows the frequency that it was already on and automatically goes to it. So it's an interesting. Can I just say the processor that's used in this particular ATU is actually the Z80 NEC equivalent. So it is Z80 based computer in there. Beautiful little unit, but you can see reset and then it goes through a tuning sequence on the capacitor side, on the inductor side, finds the right combination for the lowest SWR and the tune LED comes on. So Kenwood MAT-100 tuning unit with a little control box that makes it independent. Now I've got it on about 30 metres of wire, 30 metres of wire with also 30 metres of counterpoise. I've noticed that it struggles to tune on 80 metres. It's the only frequency that it struggles to tune on. So absolutely fascinating. What I'll do is some modelling using probably mini neck or something along those lines, and see whether I can't find the optimum length of wire for all of the bands. So I'm talking 160 to 10 metres. All of those bands it tunes, but it struggles on 80 metres and doesn't quite find the right combination. So yeah. Now just let me, if I go to here, I think I can probably zoom in. Just let me zoom. Yeah. Okay. Now let's focus. So that's the tune and power at 10 watts button. You can see the antenna port, the transmitter port. Here's the oh no, other way, Justin, other way. I've got the control box underneath the desk here, so I'm struggling to. There we go. So you can see what is on the display. It's SWR, forward power and reverse power, and obviously there's nothing going through it at this point in time. And then there's just a power on off switch. So that's the control box. And works a treat. I've just got to find that sweet spot for the 80 meters. So there you go. Now, oh, hang on. There is some comments. Oh, hello, Andy from the UK. Welcome to the UK. Old outdated network switches also make a great source for 1RU cases, often found at the tip shop. Spot on, Sean. And reuse. I love reuse. And 1RU cases are very handy. You can fit an awful lot into a 1RU case. In fact, I could fit a whole lot more into that case if I come up with some other functions that I actually want. So is there a dummy load in the ATU that absorbs the RF while the ATU identifies the correct? No, there isn't, actually. That's actually a fascinating comment. it is using, because the only way that it can tune is if the antenna is connected to the ATU. So, and I haven't listened to what it sounds like when it tunes. I know during the RD, actually, during the Remembrance Day contest, quite a few times you'll hear, you'll be operating and you'll go to receive to listen for the station, and you'll hear different tuning arrangements. So somebody's locked onto you and they're tuning their antenna, and you hear that little sequence that it goes through. So yeah, I will. I'll have a listen for what it sounds like when you actually tune. Oh, Darren, never thought of ripping the guts out of old switches. Have a pile of candidates. Excellent. Well, there you go. See, your case issue has just been solved. Now, move on to something a little bit different. A couple of weeks ago, actually quite a number of weeks ago, Lance, VK7ZA and myself did a segment on the CW Academy. And I made a comment there that there are a whole bunch of tools that the CW Academy makes available to anybody, actually. That not just CW Academy people, but anybody who's interested in Morse code. I thought I'd go through one of those particular tools, which is really, really handy and available to anybody. Absolutely available to anybody. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pause the streaming that I've got here. So I'll come back to that in a sec, because what I want to do is I just need the volume up, and let me now go transition. Okay, what you're looking at here is what's called VBand. So Virtual CW Band. It's produced by Ham Radio Solutions, and I'll post in the video comment the link to it. And it's very simple. It's hamradio.solutions/VBand, all one word, /. Now, VBand enables you to use your computer as a key or a keyer, and I'll show you what the difference is there in a sec. Either through the keyboard or through your own key, your own straight key or your own keyer, and I'll demonstrate that in a minute. And it enables you to do some practice, but it also enables you to do some QSOs with people who happen to be on. And fortunately, there is on channel 1, you can see there is Ham274 and KI5JUF, who's Steve, who happens to be on. Now, before you get on here and you use it, you need to do some settings. Now, I put in my call sign here. I've also put in what sort of mode you want. Now, what this does is either specify, and I'll pull this down so you can see what the choices are. There is a straight key or a cootie, iambic key keyer mode A, which is the dits on the left side and the dars on the right side, or B, which is the reverse. There's an altamic, and there is a bug. So you can set it up for whatever mode you like. If you are using the keyboard, then it is the control keys on the keyboard. So if it's a straight key, the control key, and I'll demonstrate this. Just let me go to the practice channel so you can hear. I hope you can hear that. But so I'm pushing the control key, and you can key your CW. So there's my call sign, and you can use that. That's literally me pushing the control key. Now, the other thing that Ham Radio Solutions do is they produce a little VBand interface. So this little VBand interface is a tiny little thing. In fact, I've lost it a few times. Plugs into your USB port. it is effectively a keyboard emulator. So it's emulating the control key on your keyboard. Now, that's a straight. I've got this set up for as a straight key right at the moment, and I've got a straight key here in the studio. One of my favourite straight keys, thanks to Jerry VK7FADZ. I bought this key off of Jerry. Beautiful key. It's got a very nice piece of marble that everything's mounted on, and it used to be G4ZPYs because it's still got their call sign written on here. Beautiful key, all brass, and it actually has roller bearings as the points where it pivots. So it's just a beautiful feeling key. I've got it plugged into the VBand interface. There's a little stereo, 3.5mm stereo socket that you plug into, and you can then use a key. So, so you can, now you've probably noticed on the screen it's come up with asterisks. It takes a few characters to recognize what speed you're sending at, and then the characters. So send a few characters, and you can see over here, let me get this cursor in here. You can see over here it says 11.9, 12.5 words per minute. What this is the overall speed and then this character speed. So what it's trying to do is determine what the overall speed is. So you could be sending at 24 words a minute for character speed, but the spaces between it, like Farnsworth, you're spacing those characters out, and so the overall speed will be much lower than that. So it takes a few characters to recognize what speed you're actually at. So that's oh, there you go. See, I stuffed up the TW. That's better. So that's the straight key interface. If I plug into, and I have to thank Larry, VK7 Whiskey. Oh, what's Larry's call sign? Whiskey Lima Hotel. Of course it is. Whiskey Lima Hotel. I have to thank Larry. Larry had this very beautiful, and I'll show you this because this is absolute work of art. Absolute work of art. Let me go to. Ooh, that didn't work, did it? Oh, that did. Excellent. No, that didn't work. Let me go to. Oh, that's not working. Oh, let me go back to here. That's better. We've got a video amplifier that seems to be a bit dodgy. Now, this is a Vibraplex Deluxe. This is not the counterbalanced Vibraplex that has a counterbalance out the back. This is half of that Vibraplex, the traditional Vibraplex. It enables you to, it's a single lever, so single lever through the middle. You've got dits on one side and dars on the other. So you push one way for the dits, and it is continuous dits at the speed that you set it at, and then continuous dars on the other side. So let me demonstrate that, and we'll go back to there. That's better. Sorry for that transition, a bit nasty. So we'll now plug this into the VBand interface. Now the thing I've got to do here is go into settings and set it for iambic keying mode A, and then I'll go back to the practice. Now I'll just warn you, I'm less practiced on a keyer than I am on a straight key, but I'm coming up to speed. I'm coming up to speed. So you can see if I push on the dit side, I've got it set in the settings to 15. Keyer speed is 15 words a minute, and you can see if I speed this up, 21, go to 26. That's way too quick for me. So let's go back to about 15. That's a bit better. Let's make that maybe a little bit slower so I can control it. Go back here. Now, that's the dits on this side and the DARs on the other side. So it's all about muscle memory. And Lance, if you're watching this, we'll probably chime in with some words of wisdom about muscle memory. But you can do the same thing. So that was my call sign, very disjointed call sign, using a keyer. And that's you push on one side and you get the dits, and you push on the other side you get the DARs. Oh, absolutely demolished that. You can see why I use a straight key, but anyway, I purposely, when I practice, do the straight key, so I get some confidence with my straight key because I'm okay with that, and then I go to the keyer and I try the keyers. Now, what you can do, and I'm just going to go back to the straight key because I'm going to show you the other channels. So we need to go back up to settings and set it back to a straight key. So excellent. Now the other channels, I'll just point out the other channels here. You've got channel 1 through 4, and as soon as I click on one of those channels, my call sign, which is actually wrong. Let's try TW. Okay, go back to the channels. Oh, and Steve's gone. Anyway, so you can go into one of the channels. So we're in channel 1, and I can put out a CQ. So you're hearing what you're keying, and then if somebody else was on the channel and they came back to you, you would hear that they come back to you with their tones, and so you then can carry on a QSO as you go. Now there's a couple of channels down here, which is channel 5 decode disabled and channel 6 decode disabled. So these two channels won't try and decode your sending. So this is real QSO area. So if you're on air and you're actually wanting to do a QSO, then this is much more realistic in channel 5 and 6, because the program won't try and decode what you're trying to do. It is practice. You can go into the practice channel. You're the only one on the practice channel. You can practice to your heart's content, which is what I do every so often. And then when I'm actually get enough courage, I go to one of the other channels, put out a CQ, and if there's somebody on the channel, you can see the exchange or the QSO that's going on, if there is one going on at the time, and you can then join in. You can put your call sign in, and they more than likely will come back to you. And there are a whole range. There are beginners, there are really experienced, there are in between, all sorts of things. All sorts of people go on to VBand, and it's all about practice, which is what Morse, learning CW and Morse code is all about. Absolutely all about. So, there you go, 73. So that's that is now let me just go to and let me come back here. That transition didn't work, did it? That did though. Okay, so that's VBand, and it is a little interface. It is available from Ham Radio Solutions, which I'll put the link in there. Little interface. In fact, it's so small you really need a big tag on it or something so you don't keep losing it. It's got a little micro USB connector on it, and it comes with the cable. And a little 3.5mm jack, and it's got a little blue light that comes on when it's connected to USB. So there you go. Great tool if you are serious about learning CW. How are we going for time? 8:10. Okay, now I'll just put, what I will do is just put the...
Just CW Academy people.
Oh, turn that off. That's the reason that I switched it off. Now, what have we got? The CW sounds like all the beepy things going off in the Royal Albert Hospital. Oh, thank you, Ross. That's okay. I hope it's it keeps beeping and doesn't go solid. That's I don't think that's a good sign. I don't think that's a good sign at all. Definitely. So now I was just going to, one of the things I was going to do, this turned up 2 days ago. It is, and it's a good segue. It's actually a very good segue for, now let's see, okay, that will work. We didn't go to the dodgy video amplifier. So this is Low Key Magazine. For those people who don't know, this is the VK QRP Club in Australia. This is their magazine, comes out every 2 months, and great little magazine. $15 a year is all it's for people in Australia. Low Key has some great little, if you're into home brewing, if you're into QRP, if you're into, I came across a wonderful little article on Hackaday for those who which I'll post in the comments. Hackaday, which was all about a 1 transistor, a 2N quadruple 2 transistor little transceiver, CW transceiver, a couple of milliwatts. So absolutely fantastic, in a beautiful little wooden case. So just to give you an idea, this is the latest. This is June 2024. There is the usual bits and pieces from the president. The president's notes. Trevor Quick, VK5 ATQ, talks about all sorts of things that are going on, including it has a bit of a plug for Nick VK7 Whiskey's slow morse training up in Intark. So I thought that was fantastic. Club news from the Secretary Treasurer Kevin, VK5 AKZ, and the members. What's going on in Memberland? Club business. The QRP Hours 80 metre contest April rules. Now the key thing to point out here is in second place is VK7 KPC with 2 points. Contact CW on. There are 2 contacts made by Peter, VK7 KPC, and it's very sad to hear that Peter's heading back to VK5. I think that's VK5's gain and VK7's loss. So very sad to hear you and Kay heading back to VK5. But good to hear you're heading back to the family. Wonderful article about VHF, UHF, QRP, DSP. So double sideband and CW with the Quangsheng UVK5 handheld from Peter Parker, VK3YE. Always writes a great article. The Pixie 2 QRP transceiver by Jens Grigel, VK4PE. So this is the Pixie, a very simple little QRP transmitter. And quite an extensive article actually about the Pixie. Concerns about loss of operator skill by David Westcombe Down, VK5BUG, who writes many articles for the QRP magazine. I thought this was wonderful. Hands up if you have an idea for an article. So There is Chris VK1CT's cryptic crossword, which is amateur radio related. Love it. That's in each edition. The for sales and wanteds are in the back. Application for membership. There we go. Australia $15, Asia Pacific $16, and the rest of the world, including USA and Europe, 18 Australian dollars. So there you go. And there's club nets and frequencies, the low-key committee meetings, and on the back are some very nice little Kia, the low boy horizontal paddle. Now, this is a paddle where you push down, so it would be very similar to using the control keys on the keyboard. And then the Bengali key, very nicely made Bengali keys, very solid, solid piece of aluminium that's machined out. VK7F's and VK7PZT's low boy Kia. So that's Low Key magazine. That's the latest and greatest Low Key magazine. I'd still have the March one to go through as well. So, and the March one has a wonderful Hellschreiber machine in here. An original Hellschreiber machine. So, and there's some wonderful history around the Hellschreiber protocol and how it was used by the Germans. So I absolutely love it. Anyway, okay. Now finishing off It would be remiss of me not to do a Tassie Ham Conference promo. Now, for those people online, there's your QR code, and you can put your phone up to. In fact, I'll make it even easier. There you go. That's as big as it gets. Bookings are now open. The conference website QR code is that one. If you go to the QR code, you can have a look at the conference information as well as also the booking and all of that sort of thing. That puts you there. Now, the Tassie Ham Conference happens on the 1st, 2nd and 3rd of November. The 2nd and 3rd is the actual conference. It's all day on the 2nd, the Saturday the 2nd, and half day on the 3rd. Up till lunchtime, we feed you and then we send you back out into the world so you can head home. There are a number of people already booked. I think we've got 20 or 25 people already booked, including people from New South Wales, Queensland, South Australia, Victoria, and ZL, and New Zealand. And shout out to Ken if you're... I don't think I've seen Ken pop up tonight. He might be thinking about other things. So, anyway, Ken and Margaret are coming across at least from Christchurch. So, fantastic. There is a barbecue up here on the Friday night. If you're around on the Friday night, then we head into the conference for the Saturday and Sunday. We have a huge... And in fact, what I can do, I should have had this up before, just bear with me, because this is worth a look. So, let me do a transition. Okay, this is the site that QR code sends you off to. The Tassie Ham Econ, there's the booking QR code, so that takes you straight into the booking system. This is where it's held. So Stanley Burberry Theatre at the University of Tasmania Sandy Bay campus. Absolutely fantastic facility. For those people who came 2 years ago, it's in the same place. It is a fantastic facility, great AV. Some of our presenters that have confirmed is the Space Weather Woman, Tamitha Mulligan Scove, who is one... I love her call sign. It's Whiskey 6... Space Weather Woman, SWW. Whiskey X-Ray 6, sorry, weather. Whiskey X-Ray 6, Space Weather Woman, SWW. So, fantastic. Grounding is a Myth by Kristen McIntyre, who is K6OWX, also weather. Wonderful talk which she gave to the ARRL conference at the ARRL presentation, at Dayton. So Kristen is rejigging that particular presentation for us. We've got Max Friedman, who is N4ML, who is from the World Radio League. Fantastic idea and website. So he's going to give us a talk on that. We've got Marcus Berg, VK3TST. Now, Marcus was a director of the WIA when I was president. Marcus is a fantastic, has a huge amount of experience in this space, but about keeping your hobby safe and secure on the modern hostile internet, whether you want to run a remote rig or link a network of repeaters. So this is all about cyber security. We've got Marty Nelson, VK6KC, Parks on the Air. This is Potter. He's going to give us a fantastic talk. We've got our very own Rex, VK7MO, on lightning scatter, and you've heard about it right here. So, yeah. We've got our very own Martin Luther, VK7GN, on radio contesting from BC, which is before computers, to up to the Game Boy, and game theory and real-time contesting and all sorts of interesting stuff. We've got Kyle Krieg, AA0Z, on remote ham radio, flex radio and Node Red. We've got Phil Waite, VK2ASD, who was president of the WIA before me. So there you go. And Phil will be giving us a fantastic talk on EME, EMF, EMC and high power education. And there might even be some interesting announcements made at the conference about a few things. So we've got David Minchin, VK5KK, who's giving us an update from 24 gigs through to 241 gigs. So absolutely fantastic. And Adam Kimmerly, K6ARK. Now, Adam gave us a fantastic talk at the last conference and his quest for miniaturization. Now, there's a whole bunch of others that we're working on right at the moment and getting people along to give us, which we'll announce as they're confirmed, but all sorts of things. But anyway, have a look at the website. Lots of sponsors. ICOM, it's ICOM's 60th anniversary. They are bringing along some interesting 60th anniversary equipment that they're bringing down. We've got sponsorship from TET Mtron, DigiRig, Ham Radio DX, of course, and also obviously Reast is also sponsoring and hosting the presentation. So that's that is oh. Does a transition that doesn't work. That's good. That's better. So that's our Tas Ham Econ Ham Radio Conference. Now, quick space weather report. We usually finish off. There is a HF fade-out warning that is currently in place. There is a large number of sunspots currently in the solar disk, many of which may have high flare potential. So it is causing degraded HF propagation conditions expected from the 17th to the 19th of July. If comms difficulties experienced, try a higher frequency band. Now, today on the 17th, we've got an R1, R2, chance of an R3, and we've got the same thing on the 18th and 19th. So the prediction is extended across those 3 days. No other warnings. Now, there is no DATV night next week. I'll just point that out to our viewers. And I've, for whatever reason, just lost my mouse, which is great. So let me try it manually. Let me go back here. Okay. Oh, very good. Ghost in the machine. We're about. Oh, I know what's happened. I restarted the streaming, so it started from where it streamed from, and we're about probably about 5 to 10 minutes behind. So I'm sorry, your comments will come up in the fullness of time. Now, bit of a promo. So no DATV next week. It's just a social night up here, but on August the 7th, so in a couple of weeks' time, there is Mike, VK7FB, who is giving us a fantastic presentation on his life in the Lighthouse service. Mike was on 4 of the Tasmanian lighthouses, and he's going to give us a talk on his experiences in pictures, in video, in words. So it'd be absolutely fascinating. August the 7th. On August the 14th, which is our forum night, will probably be a DX forum, but may be an optical talk, which Rex and I are giving to the VHF group, I think, in Queensland, and we're going to stream that as well. The first Wednesday night, September the 4th, that is the Reast. So we're going down to the Channel Men's Shed down at Margate, 24 Van Morey Road, for a guided tour of the Men's Shed. And also they're putting on a sausage sizzle for us, so fantastic. So we won't be streaming that, unfortunately, but absolutely phenomenal men's shed, and has every bit of equipment you would ever want in a workshop. So worth a look, and I'll put the link in the broadcast. And then September the 11th. Now, that's a pretty iconic little date for all the wrong reasons. We're putting on a forum about the zombie apocalypse. So emergency communications, and are you prepared for emergency communications for the next Carrington event, or the next space weather event, the next whatever? And amateurs are known for being prepared, so that's a forum all about being prepared and being able to put out communications, being able to do communications, being able to power it, having backups, having solar power, having batteries, having whatever. So that's the forum on September the 11th. We thought that was a good alignment with that particular date. So that's our program for tonight. 73. We hope you have got something out of tonight, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. So not on next week, but we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. 73, and we will catch you in a fortnight's time. This has been VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night. 73. Have a great fortnight, and we'll catch you then.